Bienvenidos, damas y caballeros, to a Spanish language lab. In this video, we're going to read a short story generated by ChatGPT about how artificial intelligence is disrupting the job market. So, this is also an exercise in learning about the present tense subjunctive. There are 5 examples of the present tense subjunctive, and ChatGPT highlighted 4 out of 5 of them for some reason, but there are in fact 5. So here's what we're going to do in this video. We're going to read through this short story. Then we're going to look at each use case of the present tense subjunctive and understand why. Why was the subjunctive used instead of, say, the indicative form of the verb? And this whole video is an exercise in better understanding when to use the present tense subjunctive. So let's get into it. Let's start reading. Un café con cifras. That's the name of the story. Amaneció nublado y el bullicio de la ciudad parecía más tenue. Clara hojeó su cuaderno de datos en la cafetería donde trabaja como periodista económica. Anotó que varios análisis estiman que la IA generativa podría automatizar actividades que hoy ocupan entre el 60% y el 70% de tiempo de los empleados. Respiró hondo y subrayó la cifra antes de su reunión. No quiero que el pánico dicte el titular, le dijo a su editor por teléfono. Es posible que la automatización afecte a millones, pero el matiz importa. También hay proyecciones que hablan de grandes incrementos de productividad y PIB. And I don't know what PIB stands for. Not important. Cuando colgó, cuando colgo, recuerdo otro informe. Un banco de inversión calcula que hasta 300 millones de empleos podrían quedar expuestos a la automatización. Clara espera que no se exageren las conclusiones, pero le preocupa que muchas tareas se vuelvan obsoletas si las empresas cortan puesto con rapidez. En su libreta escribió: algunos estudios ven más transformación que destrucción inmediata del empleo. Almost done. En la tarde, asistió a una mesa redonda. Los expertos insistieron en la urgencia de invertir en recualificación para que la transición no deje a nadie atrás. Clara cerró el cuaderno. El dato más reciente decía que a 2017 casi una cuarta parte de los puestos cambiará sustancialmente, con millones creados y millones eliminados. Nadie salió con respuestas simples, pero todos coincidieron que la velocidad importa. Okay, great. So that's a short story. Now let's go ahead and look at the subjunctive. Great. So the first use case is here in the blue. We'll read that sentence again. No quiero que el pánico dicte el titular. Le dijo a su, le dijo a su editor por teléfono. Es posible que la automatización afecte a millones. So the highlighted bit is es posible que la automatización afecte a millones. So let's look at the syntactic structure first. We see that it says it's possible plus the trigger word que plus a second subject and a second verb. Syntactically, that to me screams subjunctive mood, right? It's a very familiar formula. That's one bit of information. The second is the verb or the idea or sentiment that's expressed before the trigger word que. In this case, es posible. It's possible. When something is possible, you can ascribe a numerical probability. There's a 70% probability that it rains today and a 30% probability that it does not rain today. So when you're talking about probabilities, what you're really talking about is quantified uncertainty. And as we know, the subjunctive mood is used to describe uncertainty, hope, desire, emotions, um, demands, commands, and other things as well. But yeah, so uncertainty, familiar use case. So those two bits of information, the syntactic structure and the expression of uncertainty by the first subject, indicates to us, yes, the subjunctive present tense verb should be used here, and it is right here with afecta. The indefinite form of that verb is afectar with the AR. So if you were to use the person singular, present tense, it will be afecta, but since we're using the present tense subjunctive, it's afecte. And that's it. That's the first use case of the subjunctive. Pretty clear cut. Let's move on to the second use case, which is down here. Clara espera que no se exageren las conclusiones. Clara espera que no se exageren las conclusiones. All right, so again, we see that familiar syntactical structure. The first subject, Clara, hopes, plus trigger word que, plus a verb applied to a second subject, right? Which is very implicit here, the second subject. No se exageren las conclusiones. So here, she's referring to a group. I think the group is the editors or the readers, but just some other group, right? So she's not a group, she's an individual. So she's referring to some other group. So that's the syntactic structure. And then you see here, it's the first subject, Clara, hopes. Clara espera. So those two bits, also espera is conjugated in the present tense, and I mentioned that earlier. So you know it's a perfect tense subjunctive opposed to the imperfect or the future. So using those two bits of information, we know that we should use the present tense subjunctive conjugation of the next verb. So the verb exageran would have been indicative, but since this is subjunctive, it's exageren. Don't exaggerate the conclusions. Cool. The third example of the subjunctive would be down here, the second half of the sentence. Pero le preocupa que muchas tareas se vuelvan obsoletas si las empresas cortan puestos con rapidez. But she's worried that a lot of jobs would become obsolete if a lot of employers cut them too fast. Or that the jobs will become obsolete too fast. You want to kind of trickle these things out so it's not totally disruptive to the workforce. Yeah. So let's see here. Give me a second. All right. So here we go. Really, we want to focus on this part right here to understand the syntactic structure. So le preocupa, third person singular, because right here it's a continuation of the sentence. So the third person here is Clara. So Clara is worried, preocupa, que muchas tareas se vuelvan obsoletas si las empresas, blah, blah, blah. So syntactically, it's you have Clara is worried, plus the trigger word que, plus a second subject, which are the uh, employers, right? So syntactically, this screams, yeah, syntactically, I thought I said tactically. Syntactically, this screams subjunctive mood. Now, if you look at the first verb, preocupa, it's the present tense, and it's the third person, singular, and the second verb is vuelvan, or without even looking at the verb, you see that we're talking about multiple employers. So, she's worried. So whenever you're expressing doubt or concern, that also implies subjunctive. So that to me indicates sufficient information to use the subjunctive tense. So the indefinite form of the word vuelvan is volver, which is an ER verb, which makes sense why we're placing the E with the A vowel down here. And it's an irregular verb, so we replace the O with the UE. And it's third person plural because we're referring to multiple employers. Boom. Nailed it. Right? Airtight case for the use of subjunctive here. Wow. All right, let's move on. Now, ChatGPT, as you know, is not perfect. It did not highlight the use of the subjunctive in this sentence down here, but that's okay. We can do that ourselves. All right, it looks like Chat did an error on the fourth use case of subjunctive, but we're going to skip that and go to the last one, which is pretty clear cut. So in the bold down here, this last sentence. Los expertos insistieron en la urgencia de invertir en recualificación para que la transición no deje a nadie atrás. So the first subject is the experts, and then you have the trigger words in this case, para qué, indicating purpose. And then you have the second subject, which would be the employers. Sorry, the first subject is experts. The second subject is the employees, right? Employees are the ones that were left behind. And so whenever you see the trigger words para qué, again, that implies a purpose, a stated goal that is intended but is not yet realized or not yet fully realized. So you're talking about a hypothetical here. And that is a tell that the subjunctive case should be used, right? Also, we have the first verb of the first applied to the first subject is present tense. They insist, insistieron. Or no, that's past tense, right? Envitir is okay. Hold on, I gotta look this up. Okay, it's a little tricky. Insistieron is past tense. The experts in the past in urgency, invertir, blah, blah, blah. And then we have the trigger, para qué, and then we transition to present tense subjunctive, that no deje. That's interesting. I'm not quite sure how to explain that. But what I do know how to explain is you have the para qué, which is a trigger phrase for the subjunctive, and deje is the present tense subjunctive conjugation of the word dejar. If this was the indicative form of the present tense third person, it would be deja, but it's subjunctive, so you write deje. Yeah, and we'll leave it at that. ChatGPT is not the greatest at this, but I am able to catch its mistakes. And as we know, this thing hallucinates quite a bit, which is a euphemism for it's a model that makes prediction errors. Models make prediction errors. Let me tell you, as a data scientist, a term like hallucination kind of upsets me. It's like, what are you doing here? Like, why are you using euphemisms? It's a mathematical model that made an erroneous prediction. That's all it is. But marketing. All right, folks, that's it. That's the video. And if you found this at all useful, let me know in the comments section. Subscribe, that like the video. That indicates to me that you found some value in this. If there's something you like about this or something that you don't like about this that you'd like me to know, leave it in the comments section. Love it, hate it, let me know. Thumbs down, I'll take those too. What's important for the growth of the channel is your engagement, whether it's positive or negative, and your feedback, because I'll take that feedback and use it to improve the quality of the content. So until next time, ciao, damas y caballeros.